Ladies and gents, what's going on? Happy to have all of you in here right now as we are looking at some more apes getting the screen time they need. This is Fox Business, Charles Payne making money, and I'm not just saying we will, but I'm saying that we have. How's it going? I'm talking about Tricker Rick. We got John Ray, we got JPF, Old Alberts, Matt Downs, Chuck, we got Nelly, John, Mark, Mike, and Buck. So many of you have very similar names. We have the news up, and we're just waiting around until that good old ape comes through. Wait, where's Meatball? Come here, buddy. Here he is. Mega Money starts at 2 o'clock Eastern, which means you guys are just in time. Pull up some popcorn, AMC branded popcorn, as we take a look at the stocks you guys care about. Where's AMD right now? Down 2% roughly. Let's look at GME. GME was holding tight, but then a slide past midway through the day. AMC is in a very similar pickle. Down to 39.25 as the lowest point currently, up about 25 cents from its low. What's going on? Marty Scott. We got Damian Perry. Brian Essays, great discount. Houdini, what's up? Good day. Zachary Schaefer. We got Jens Gemmel. We got Aaron Lamb. Yo. Loving these live streams. Hey, we are here. We're right here. And we have some Medicare coverage commercials. But that's not the only thing we have. We also have the Fox Business ticker right down there, which means we are getting ready, revving our engines. Let me just make sure this all fits in one. There we go. All right, that's what we're waiting around for right now. Laura Skyle Heilman says our favorite ape, Mr. Meatball. Look at him. Oh man, Meatball. That's right. Meatball, that's right. Let's pull this up here a tiny bit. Let's pull this over here. Aaron Lamb says, shout me. I shouted out. All right, business alert. Let's see what it is.
Coast to coast, I'm Jerry Willis. Robinhood, the trading app, making public that an intruder gained access to its systems last week and made off with the personal information of millions of users, also demanding ransom. Now, by the way, Robinhood isn't small. In fact, it hosts 22 million accounts with $95 billion in assets. The breach has since been contained, but email addresses for about 5 million Robinhood users were exposed, as were full names of 2 million of those users. The good news here, no social security numbers, bank account numbers, or debit card numbers, that is, were exposed, and customers have not experienced losses. Now, the Robinhood Chief Security Officer, Caleb Sema, quoted in a press release saying this: as a safety-first company, we owe it to our customers to be transparent and act with integrity. Following a diligent review, putting the entire Robinhood community on notice of this incident is the right thing to do. But users complained on Twitter the company's response wasn't transparent enough. Check out this tweet that says, "Thanks for letting me know." 5 days later, another user saying this: first they take away the button, the buy button, when they get 7 million people's personal information exposed in a data breach. And as you can see here, anyone who uses Robinhood deserves what they get. Now, there's a reference to the company's decision in January to restrict trading in GameStop and other so-called meme stocks. As I said before, Robinhood shares are down nearly 3%, and we're going to keep an eye on this. The intruder gained access to Robinhood systems by impersonating an authorized party to a customer support employee on the phone. This is what they call phishing or a vishing campaign, and apparently those Robinhood users, well, they could be exposed to some other kind of effort to steal their information now that they have all those names. Back to you, Neil.
That's a lot of names, Jerry. Thank you very much for that, Jerry. Following all those developments, meanwhile, back to Jeff Flock, who's following the switch from human beings to machines. And you hear that a lot. But if people aren't going to take up on the job offers, you got to do something. So what are they doing? Jeff?
It's all about shipping containers, Neil. You know, 90% of the world's commerce goes through shipping containers like this one right here. Problem with these things, by the way, these were invented back in the 50s by an American. It's an American invention. Moving them, getting them off of the ships and place to place. This is an invention called quick loads. An exclusive look with the company today. It picks up a shipping container from off the ground with a regular truck chassis, puts it on the thing, takes it somewhere, offloads it right on the ground. Sean Jones invented this thing.
I'm not gonna lie, this is a very loud segment, so I'm going to talk over it and introduce that Charles Payne, like you guys saw right here to my right next to my shoulder, is coming up next and gonna have Matt Kohrs on the broadcast, giving the Ape Nation a chance to rise up, talk to the financial revolutionists making change, but mostly I'm talking to you guys, 1,000 of you in here: Daniel Rodriguez, Mark Goodhouse, we have Highway Frog, we have 1.21 Gigawatt Productions. If you guys know anything about the YouTube algorithm and its filthy, dirty, inhospitable ways, it means that we have to smash that like to get this message out. We are not here for limited money. We're here for life-changing money. And that's the change that we are looking for. Making Money, New Investor Revolution with Charles Payne coming up in less than 10 minutes. And you guys don't want to go anywhere. So you guys are already in the right place. Just make sure to smash that like until we get the counter up to the number of people watching.
You don't need to wait for cranes. You don't need to wait for anything.
Yeah.
And that smooths all the logistics.
It's funny, you delivered some relief supplies to the folks that were flooded, and what they were able to do, Neil, is instead of like waiting to unload a truck until you got to a loading dock, they just dumped the shipping container right on the ground, and people start walking in doing stuff. Speeds the whole process up, and, you know, like you said, machines sometimes, if you invent them with good Yankee ingenuity, can solve some problems.
Yeah, they can help us, not hurt us. Jeff Lott, great story, promising one too. Great, Jeff Lott following all of that. I wonder what Gianna Caldwell likes. So this Fox News political analyst, Out Loud with Gianna Caldwell, podcast host, all around nice guy. He strikes me as someone who would have a lot of robots in his household dealing with this. How are you?
Well, Neil, I want to tell you, you're one of the funniest hosts on television. I heard that.
Well, look, you know, this is wild, though, if you think about it, John. I mean, we don't have a labor shortage. There are plenty of available labor and plenty of job offerings. We have very few takers, right? So, you know, when life gives you lemons, I can understand, you know, manufacturers making lemonade here, but this is all going the machine route. Now, this looks like a good idea, what Jeff Locke was reporting on, but I'm just wondering, all those people passing up an opportunity to take advantage of all these job offerings, whether they might rue the day.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that assessment, and we got to just take a look back in history a little bit. There was a study that showed from 1990 to 2007, there were about 400,000 jobs lost due to automation, I should say. And a recent study showed that by 2025, about 2 million workers will be displaced due to automation. That can be found in Time Magazine, time.com. Now, the interesting fact is we often know that policy a lot of times correlates with what happens in this space. We looked at what happened when folks were looking to raise the minimum wage in particular cities. You saw McDonald's, Burger King, and a lot of other places say, hey, we're going to get rid of a lot of our staff, and you're just going to punch in your order on the machine. And considering the fact that we got a president in office now who's really looking to raise taxes, and I know people say, yeah, it's on just the wealthy. That's not true. These things often trickle down, and it's more for everyone because companies make changes so they don't get their bottom line hit as hard. So this is a time where I think that the president needs to be paying very, very close attention because he's putting Americans in a bad light right now because folks, I mean, they're not working, and the truth of the matter is it's going to only get worse from here.
Well, not as the White House sees it.
We have Mark Baptiste saying, we are at war with these fools. You guys are probably watching and thinking, okay, what is this going to have to be doing? What does that have to do with Charles Payne? Charles Payne is coming on in less than 5 minutes now. I guess they're just about to transition into him, and then he's going to say, hey, I'm making money. Look at these commercials, and then we'll be right back. So this is a good opportunity to play a small minute-long clip. This is back in July when we were on Charles Payne. We'll just have it fill the air briefly to see where has the last time Charles Payne talked about the apes and the status of the investor revolution. This is with Tara Bull and Charles Payne.
Look at this particular point. A lot of folks have lost everything in the pandemic, and now we have a president who's looking.
Thank you.
As you have on YouTube.
Nothing but time. Time is on this side of the apes. Meatball's wearing a nice long tie, giving a yawn. Remember this is the opportunity. So here's Charles Payne. Tell you a little bit that threshold.
Someone who's a subscriber and uses my educational services. He said he went from $120,000 to a high of $1.2 million in less than a year. I have yet to cash out any stocks except for the 10% profit designated for Christmas donations. The funds I am working with are in my 401k trading account. The book is wonderful, but a new chapter needs to be added. How to take the level of playing field. So with that in mind, I want to bring in two investors from the so-called ape community, and let's talk to them about what they're trying to achieve in this market, and also how they feel when the financial media is always trying to paint them as menaces. Andrew Mo Money, a YouTube host, and also we have with us from Twitter Space host Tara Bull. Hey, thank you both for coming on first. Just, what drew you to this thing in the first place? And I'll start with you, Tara. What made you focus in on the market, particularly on these AMC and GameStop, those kind of stocks?
Well, honestly, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into when I first decided to invest in AMC. I did know about what happened with GameStop, and I guess I didn't want to see the same thing happen with a movie theater company. I love the movies. My family loves the movies. I didn't want to see them, be pushed down. I didn't want to see them, especially during a pandemic.
Right. Okay, Andrew, I've watched the YouTube stuff. You're very calm, collected. You have a lot of great information. Of course, you're not a financial advisor, but you are sharing information with people. How did you get to this point?
Thank you, Charles. From the Moon Platoon, the Andrew Money community, I really appreciate you having us on. It is a story of when people take a look at obvious injustice, when people take a look at companies that have been growing up with them alongside their childhoods and now giving back to that exact same company, GameStop and AMC. There are 4.1 million apes holding the float for a reason on AMC side. So that's the reason why I'm part of just one of millions.
Speaking of which, though, do you get upset at all? I mean, almost every single day in the financial media, you're called dumb. Today, the ape community was blamed for the broad market, a $36 trillion market. They blame you for it being down today. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it just makes me feel even more excited.
Just want to check if we have a commercial still going on over on Making Money with Charles Payne. That was from a few months ago. Charles Payne has been fighting on the side of the apes for months now, since the beginning of the year, really. And we were about to hear him with Matt Kohrs coming on this broadcast. So do not adjust your monitors. You are in the right place. I want to be able to say that everything that I remember saying on that show and remember Charles being able to embody is the cause and the core of what we're trying to do here. The financial revolution is entirely dependent on the individual, and the individual is you guys. So when I said I'm shouting out to the millions of you that are out there investing and learning alongside people who have the algorithms, the millions of dollars, the home field advantage, right? They have had advantages for decades. Now really is our time to come around. So I am going to be broadcasting this whenever the commercial is over. But first, I'm going to be able to say hi to a couple of you guys. Dr. Dazzle, what's going on? We got It's Foxify, Michelle Houdini. We got Justin. We got Kathy Lloyd. We have G123 ABC 95. What's going on, guys? The key, C2C World News saying, the key to the problem is required locates that the SEC knows is a problem as it chooses to let be. I remember when that was coming around halfway through the year. BITO, hold on, I just want to make sure that they're starting up right now. Here we go.
There is definitely a change in the attitude here with the fear of higher energy prices, but there's also, stepping back from this, a lot more interest from a lot more people. You might have seen a survey that was out earlier this week that millennial investors, even younger, are now investing on their own. They don't want outside help. They don't want to do it the way their mom and dad do it. You might call it a revolution, all new people coming into this market and deciding on their own if this is worth their time. It's a fascinating development, and Charles Payne is going to be picking it apart and the significance of it in the next hour. I urge you to sit down and get ready to have some fun. Charles Payne,
have some fun.
Up next.
Oh, baby.
This is a Fox Business special presentation,
Wow.
The New Investor Revolution, live with a studio audience in New York City. Here's your host from Making Money, Charles Payne.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Hello, everyone. And thank you for being here for this very special edition of Making Money, the New Investor Revolution, which
That's our
will
boy in the
really,
back.
I think this is going to become known as the New Investor Day. From here on out, we do have to share the honor with the Wu-Tang Clan, but that's okay because cash rules everything around me. Get the money, right? I mean, let's do it. I'm Charles Payne. By the way, I've got a breaking announcement. Today I bought AMC and GameStop in my own account. That's right. You know what it is? It's not the way I invest, but I love the apes so much. I'm so proud of the determination. I figured I better have some skin in the game. And I put $100 grand in my crypto account. I'll buy something there tomorrow. By the way, some big news for you. General Electric announcing plans to form 3 public companies, right? They're going to focus on growth sectors, aviation, healthcare, energy. And the reason I bring it up is because it's so-called smart money, right? You know, the folks that slam the individual investors all the time, say they're dumb, suggesting that whatever the individual investor does is so wrong that the elite should go the other way. Well, some believe this nonsense on Wall Street. Others know it's just part of a campaign to make investors seem so afraid, right? Make investing seem so hard that you're intimidated and you just hand your money over to the experts. Well, that brings me to GE in this news. Back in 2000, smart money told dumb money, folks, this is where you have to be. You have to be in these great blue chip stocks. You must own them, put them away forever. You're going to be set for life. By the way, if you look at the list, General Motors was at the top of the list. They went bust. Everyone else on the name really did very, very bad. We had IBM down. The only winner is IBM, up 27 points. We got Ford down 27%. Since then, AT&T down 50% since then. We've got Citibank down 82% since then. Here's the bottom line. Is it any wonder that the children of folks who decided, okay, I'm going to invest the way Wall Street tells me, right? This is what happened. This is the birth of the investing apes. And by the way, I'm pleased to have 2 of the great names helping to spread the word, educate, and promote the cause. The host of YouTube show Trey's Trades, Trey Collins, is with us. And retail trader Matt Kohrs. Plus, one of the loudest voices for individual investors, Genevieve Rock Dector, is going to be up, and one of my personal favorites in the financial world, advisor Nancy Tindler. But let's start with Trey and Matt. Great to be here, guys.
Excited. It's a pleasure.
How do you feel? I mean, this movement, I'll start with you, Trey. You know, you're messing around. You're trading the market a couple years ago, whatever. I mean, did you ever think it would blossom into something like this?
Man, I got to be honest with you. I got into the market about 1.5 years ago, just kind of learning, taking it day by day, trying to figure out how to make money. Wow. And at first I bought into the idea of smart money, follow where smart money goes. And you kind of realize as you go into the market, you become a little jaded because you realize the intentions aren't necessarily what's paying on TV sometimes.
Did you have an epiphany? How did you find that out?
I watched what happened with the ape stocks in January, right? The buy button being taken away, diving into that and learning stuff. You just realize that the game's kind of rigged in some ways, and you're not going to know that unless you dig into it.
For me, I've been trading for a little bit longer, and I just wanted to share it, maybe put my own little touch of statistics and everything on it. And then one day,
did you say there was a void for that, though? I mean, you had to say, golly, no one's doing this.
Yeah, my background's in coding. I was like, I'll teach a little bit algorithmic trading. And one day, not the best public speaker, so I was like, let's work on this live streaming thing, get a little bit more comfortable. WallStreetBets subreddit was shut down, and I went from 8 viewers to 1,000. I was like, I am YouTube. I figured out media, and that was the start start of the start, really, because right there, GameStop went haywire, then AMC went haywire, and now we're so far down this rabbit hole that we're talking about like the microstructure of the entire stock market and kind of the loopholes that line the pockets of the elite, and they leave retail out for scraps on the street.
Yeah, you know, I'm so happy because that's the most important thing. The determination to do it. It's not like people are really going to a casino like Wall Street tries to make, at least the financial media. Well, let's start with some questions. A lot of people want to ask you guys questions. I'm going to start with a video question from Colleen.
Charles, thank you for taking my question, and thank you for everything you do for retail investors. If companies trade in the dark pool, and my understanding is the reason that they do this is to prevent volatility via large trades from market maker to market maker, broker to broker, creating volatility in the stock, how is it that they are allowed to trade in the dark pools, but also trade the same stock openly in a short on the market?
Fantastic question, Colleen. Matt, how are they pulling this off?
So with that, I think this is a great question to highlight the complexity of what the stock market has become. And right here, I'll take the next level higher, the extreme amount of off-exchange trading. Right now, AMC, GME, about 60% of all shares traded are off-exchange, and that leads to a system where there's less efficiency, less price discovery, and it's leading to potential conflicts of interest, which the EU literally just banned payment for order flow today. That was announced, and we know Gary Gensler's been discussing it. So the situation of extreme amounts of off-exchange trading, obviously that's something that has to be looked at, but instead they'll just talk to us and be like, I don't know, these brokerages, it's a little too much gamification. Maybe we should focus on that first. Like, give me a break.
I'm glad you brought up gamification. When you watch financial television, the market opens and 10 minutes later, what are they saying? The winners and the losers, right? It's not the advancers and decliners. How do you know it's a winner? The stock was $100 a year ago, now it's $3 and it's up 50 cents. It's not a winner. It may not be a loser. If anyone's gamified Wall Street, it's the financial media, it's the experts and the pros who have tried to sell people and making a lot of money. Don't ever buy into that, the gamification of Wall Street. All right, AMC, one of the biggest stocks, and now I'm a shareholder for the AMC. Christopher's got a question. Here it is. I invested in AMC in January, and I've been holding ever since. There are a lot of rumors and semi-proof AMC is heavily naked shorted with millions of synthetic shares being circulated. My question is, do you think Adam Aaron or the SEC are investigating this? If an investigation found naked shorts, what would be the consequence, Trey?
Well, there's actually a great example of this that just recently took place with the stock Ader. So Ader has recently found out there was naked shorts circulating their own float of about 30 million shares. And the CEO came out publicly and said, hey, look, we found this. We're going to dig into this and see kind of what happens. With AMC specifically, what they need is incriminating evidence, right? They can't play the game of guessing this or that. It needs to be, we found this evidence. And I think the first place to look is at derivatives and options, because that is where heavy leveraging takes place and how market makers and liquidity providers can hide some of the nefarious activities that take place. So I like to hope that the SEC is looking into that, but I guess time will tell.
You know, it's interesting as years ago when a CEO brought this up, many of them were too intimidated to say anything. One of the first guys was the CEO of Overstock, and you know, he got branded as being a nut. He eventually was forced out of the company, but I always felt he was completely right. And they were pushing back on the notion that this was easy money for Wall Street, and he tried to expose it. So maybe this time it will be exposed. All right, now it's time to get some questions from our studio audience. I'm going to start with Benjamin. Benjamin, where are you? All right, my man.
Hi, so I'm a brand new investor, and I'm trying to look for like the best app or website to use. Do you have any preferences?
Well, that depends entirely on what you'd like to use the application for, right? So if you want an application that's going to best serve your needs as an investor as compared to gamification or a sexy platform, you're going to be looking for something that allows you opportunities to get lit exchange versus off-exchange trading, something that has your best interest in mind, not necessarily with commissions, but with best execution. So I would dig into those questions specifically and look into that. I know that Thinkorswim is a great place to start, but I'm not here to make that decision for you, man.
Yeah, with that, just to build on it a little bit more, just remember, no such thing as a free lunch. Most of the time, if you end up paying and there's commissions involved, you're paying for transparency. If you're not paying anything, most likely you are the product. So you have to just weigh out what's important for you in your own career.
Have you started trading yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
To a few things like that.
Right. So here's what I did. The reason I ask is, every investor, every potential investor has a lot of questions, and don't let those keep you from getting involved, right? Mm-hmm. You can procrastinate in a week, becomes a month becomes 6 months, 6 months becomes a year, and you're looking, and then all of a sudden you get to this point, I missed it. I missed the rally, and now you're waiting, and guess what? You mix the next leg up. They say, well, maybe I'll get in. I'm telling you, it's insidious. I've watched it over and over. I know people who are still waiting to get involved in the market from March of 2009 when they said, Charles, when the next shoe drops, I'm in. This next shoe never dropped. All right, let's bring in Suzanne's question. Do you both 100% believe that this MOS is coming for AMC and GameStop? I mean, in your heart of hearts, do you see this happening one day?
For me personally, I am putting my own hard-earned money, the same as you two, into this movement. I very much believe in what the Ape Nation has 100% become, because all of a sudden it started out on this forum on social media, but now it's grown to the point that we're sitting here right now talking about fixing the market and talking about potentially some of the illicit, nefarious nature going on with AMC and GME. So my bet with my own money is on the apes and true market reform.
Trey?
I believe not just in the MOAS itself, but what that stands for. I think if you were to just
tell us what it stands for.
It stands for market transparency, Charles. I mean, what are y'all talking about, right? It's about the problems that exist and that get pushed down our throats every single day. And what AMC is going to, I think, go beyond is just this stock. It's let's fight for other securities. Let's fight for more regulations to come out and sort of fix the problems that are laid out in front of us. You know?
And what I would say, in my opinion, is this: that I've been in the market a long time, and I regret the stocks that I've sold in my lifetime more than the names I've held that went to zero. I've had stocks that have gone to zero, but I regret the ones I let go that I believed in, maybe for its profit, maybe for a loss. So it doesn't happen overnight. And in this particular case, you've got nefarious forces that don't want it to happen, so it might be even harder. Ultimately, I think it's going to be up to management to perform, but they've got an amazing shareholder base. By the way, this does bring me to some big news, and Matt kind of alluded to this a moment ago. The EU is now prepared to ban payment for order flow. The question, of course, is now will the SEC do the same thing, or maybe we just keep getting lip service from Gary Gensler. And by the way, Mr. Gensler, you are invited on this show. My booker's called you a million times. I promise it would be a fantastic discussion. But for now, let's bring in former SEC lawyer, Lisa Berganza. Lisa, thanks for joining us. Big news out of the EU. How does that move the needle with respect to maybe some kind of action that's similar to that here in America?
First of all, our boys.
Boy, that's a good question. It
Candles
would be great if
scissors
we could get the SEC to do the same thing. I think the fact that the EU is doing it is a massive impetus for the SEC to really seriously consider doing the same thing. And that'd be great for everyone.
Of course. When you were at the SEC, was there talk, open talk, hey, our mission is transparency. Our mission is the individual investor. And the reason I ask is that there's some such thing called company culture. Wherever you go, no matter what the industry of business is, if you worked at Nike, everybody loves sports. If you work at Fox Business, everybody loves success in the stock market. Was there that kind of culture there that, hey, we should be looking out for the little investor?
Well, you put your finger on it. I mean, there is a culture at the SEC, and folks at the SEC really do believe that they are advocating for Main Street investors, even when they're not. And that's a problem. Because, they're passionate. They really do believe that everything that they're doing is helping investors. But their idea of investor is, mom and pop retirement investor. Somebody's got an IRA, 401k. It doesn't include the apes. Ape Nation is this whole different world of investors that falls outside of the traditional definition that the SEC folks have in their heads. So, I think trying to make the market safe and fair for individual retail traders, people who are investing / trading, that's a big deal. That's a shift for the SEC. They're not there yet.
I'm glad you said that. I've got a follow-up question from Susan, and she says, Lisa, here's the question. If the SEC does end up regulating crypto, what do you think they will do? How much will it impact us? And what are the risks to investors, and what the message could be as they rally around and put pressure on the Securities and Exchange Commission to regulate it in a beneficial way? I think people would like to see some safeguards there, but a lot of folks are worried and intimidated. Obviously, big governments around the world don't want to see any challenge to fiat currency, and they've already done a few things. China has all but outlawed it. Any thoughts about the SEC doing something smart with respect to regulations and not derailing crypto?
Well, the SEC already is regulating crypto. They are there. They say that crypto falls within the same regulatory structure that has existed for, since the 1930s. But the weird thing is they're regulating it through enforcement. And they wouldn't say that. I don't think they think that they're doing that. But we have this crypto world that doesn't fit nicely into the existing regulatory system. And, it's a lot easier to just try to stuff it into one of the existing boxes than it is to go through the whole regulatory process of trying to come up with regulations that fit.
They're going to have to figure something out because crypto is a juggernaut. Bitcoin hit a new high tomorrow, and I'm buying something. I'm not buying Bitcoin tomorrow. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to take a survey. Maybe you guys will tell me my first crypto investment. Lisa, I love you. Thank you very much. Always appreciate the straight answers from someone who was inside the SEC. I want to get back now to our studio audience. Pete, what's your question?
What's up, guys? So the question is, should we have faith in the SEC and government to protect the retail investor? Who stands up for investors when something like the removal of the buy button happens? Who do we turn to for answers? And who can be held accountable? Who's the adult in the room?
It's a fantastic question. We just had Lisa, who was a former, big-time insider at the SEC, suggesting that maybe they think they're doing the right thing, but certainly looking the other way has been a real problem. This fiasco in January was such an embarrassment. Again, Gary Gensler is saying the right things, but Trey, do you think he's going to follow through?
I like to look at action instead of lip service, right? So we saw the EU is starting to regulate payment for order flow as an example, trying to protect retail investors and their best interest being in mind. There's this talk that goes on and on and on, and there's just nothing that happens with the SEC. And particularly, you get people on the media who try and act like it's a good thing that payment for order flow exists. So what I want to see is not necessarily the talk, but the action that will follow that. Right. That's what I'm waiting for, because they can say a million things until it happens.
Well, I know a lot of folks are still really upset with Robinhood. I mean, if you look at the volume and the way it built up to that day, it was pretty clear that anyone there who worked there should have known they would need capital. And my theory was that they were going to go do an IPO real soon. They didn't want to dilute the float at all. They didn't want to change anything with the financials, so they rolled the dice and they found themselves in a predicament. Any faith the SEC will do the right thing ultimately?
Maybe I'm being a little bit naive. I hope so. But what we know of the GameStop report on their, take of what happened in January, how is that even considered a best effort or even a reasonable effort? It was obviously highly neutered. They came out and they're like, you know what? We have a little bit of data here, not a short squeeze, not a gamma squeeze, don't worry about it. And it's like, to me, that's even more telling, because you're saying it was completely driven by retail. No one was covering. It wasn't gamma. And you took the buy button. So you're admitting it was going to go way higher. Yeah. They said it right there, and it's frustrating. I hope something's going on in the background, because you have market makers out there gloating that they were the only one to provide liquidity when things got nuts. How is that good? Right now, the Fed just came out and was saying that retail, we're the risk to the financial stability of the system. Retail, as a video game selling company, brought the system to its knees. Yeah. Where's the resilience there? It's all of a sudden, instead of improving the house of cards, they're saying, let's just leave it and blame someone else for blowing some wind on it.
I think you both are 100% right. They blew it, then they copped out, and then their friends in the media circled the wagons for them. Hey, can we get a round of applause for Trey and Matt? I mean, really, they have been absolutely phenomenal. Keep up the great work, guys. Keep it up. All right, so if you thought the new...
Guys, dragging this out is going to be the hedge fund's way to go about this, but if you guys want to throw some claps in the chat and some likes for this video. Let's push it past 1,000 so we can get it to as many retail investors as possible. This was a really, really cool forum. They'll be back after the commercials. I wanted to be able to say that this is something that I can't believe we are sharing right here, one-on-one. The fact of the matter is they were well-spoken. Some great questions were asked. Maybe not a fantastic question from the first studio audience member, but overall, they had the, hey, who are you? Are you a person who cares about the stock market? Maybe you'll be interested in what the best broker is. And then the next question was really about hammering back the point. Financial revolution, what have the powers that be done to provide coverage for their rich friends? Exactly how have the individual investor been protected in the past, and what are they focusing on now? And it looks like AMC and Jimmy are both getting a nice little boost from that interview, it seems. We had both of them at their lowest right before the interview started. Jimmy at $204 for the day, and AMC at $39 and change. Now AMC has risen above its resistance at $40 over its EMA here. We have a 200 and right up to the VWAP. So volumetric weighted average, the volumetric weighted average price right here at $40.58 is now acting as the third resistance AMC has just pushed through. So we are nearing getting back to below double digits down on the day after a great earnings. A fantastic earnings drops AMC once again. Those of you that are watching and commenting out, hey, I don't bite. I love that you're throwing out the claps. You guys are throwing out some dabs, some chili, some lemons, and some pepper. Some of you are saying great interview. Charles Payne holding with us now on AMC. That was confirmed. I went on Twitter. I shouted out Charles Payne confirmed ape just went out and bought AMC and GME today. It seems like he's dropping some crypto as well. So if you guys want to go on Twitter and have a competition, what do you guys think he is going to pick tomorrow for crypto? Let's get Gary on the phone, says Landon, to answer tough questions on the CV Payne show. I think, Gensler might just be the kind of guy who would do it. I feel like if Charles Payne has asked him once, probably has been hesitant, but now that we are seeing real individual people, right? Trey and Matt, they aren't part of any institution. They're not part of any organization. They are just individual investors. Here, we're coming back. Drop a like, guys. Make sure to get it out to 1,000 plus.
It's a revolution. Well, my next guest carving out a really strong name for herself among individual investors. In fact, Genevieve Rock-Vector says her goal is to democratize Wall Street insight to the masses, and she joins us now. First of all, welcome to the show, Genevieve.
Pleasure to be here.
Genevieve, Bitcoin. It keeps making these new highs, and you tweeted something I thought was pretty cool about paper hands. You reminded them if they sold before now, they blew it. And the reason I like that is I follow you, and you came up as a traditional Wall Street analyst, but you also speak the language of like new investors, and you're learning how to rewrite the rules. You understand how the game is changing. How did you make that transition, right? I mean, because you were sort of solid on the Wall Street side per se. Now you've got this fast-growing newsletter. And again, the language that you use reaches people who might have otherwise been intimidated.
You know what? One of the biggest insights I had was when I was a portfolio manager and I worked on the inside on the Wall Street equivalent, but in Canada. These 20-page research reports that they put out, I was barely reading them. So I knew there needed to be a change. And, social media, you've got 30-second TikToks, you got 30-word tweets. This is the new language, and this is how people want to be spoken to and want to learn about investments.
So when the smart money, though, looks down their nose and says, who can learn anything in a TikTok video, and belittles the whole thing, what do you say to them? You know what? You have to be pretty smart and pretty quick to pack that much information into whether it's a tweet or a meme. So there's actually a lot that goes into getting that point across. All right, so let's get to some questions because there's a lot that I want to talk to you about, and so does the audience. The first one is from Lindy.
Hi. Well, First, I want to thank you for having us here today and for hosting this town meeting. And thank you for your unstoppable prosperity, because my husband, Brian, and I have been taking this since the beginning of COVID.
Wow.
And we've learned so much. We do all our own investing, and we've done better than anybody's ever done for us in the past. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm humbled.
So my question is, do you advise investing in cryptocurrency and surrogates, such as MSTR, Beta, which is a future ETF, and mining companies like Riot and Mara? And due to volatility, should these be swing trades?
This is your area of expertise. I'll tell you how I'm doing it real quick, because I don't understand crypto like a Genevieve. So I've been trading those on my trading service. We do own Riot right now. But they've been trading names for me as I try to learn, because I've applied typical technical analysis. I almost bought Bitcoin after it hit that double top at 21,000 and pulled back to 17,000. So now I'm going to probably buy it like 3 times higher. So that's the way I've done it. But this is why Genevieve is on the show.
So I'm a little bit different. I'm a hold on for dear life type of person. So I'm a buy and hold. I don't trade. I don't swing trade. So what you're really asking, there's a few different ways to get exposure to crypto, right? So there's a direct way, which you can open up a wallet on Coinbase, and you would own the Bitcoin or Ethereum or any altcoin directly in your name, and you would hold it. Or to what you alluded to, BITO, which is an ETF that you can buy in your brokerage account if you're more comfortable with that, because I know a lot of people don't want to go through the hassle of opening up a wallet. And you would own an ETF that it doesn't actually hold crypto or Bitcoin. It holds Bitcoin. It holds futures contracts, so you don't actually hold the actual physical, because the SEC hasn't allowed that yet. And then the third,
but you prefer owning the physical, owning the coins rather than the digital coins rather than the.
You know what? A lot of people would be surprised. I actually hold an ETF.
Really?
Up in Canada, I should say, we have ETFs that hold the physical coins, and I just find it that much easier to hold the ETFs. So that's what I do. And then the other questions you're asking about is publicly traded, crypto companies and Bitcoin miners. Those are very volatile. They can move to the upside 2, 3, 4, 5 times the price of Bitcoin, and then conversely on the downside, they can crash pretty aggressively. So I would stay away from that.
The number one thing for anyone who wants to invest in crypto, I would suspect, is that you believe in it. So I would think that you have to believe in order to endure some of the crazy, wild volatility, volatile swings, no?
Absolutely. And it's a pleasure to be on today, because, the crypto market's hitting all-time highs.
Perfect timing.
We're really celebrating, but, it's now a $3 trillion asset class. And I still believe it has, it can go up 2, 3, 10 times even. I compare it to gold. I know it has very different characteristics, but it's an alternative asset class, and gold's a $10 trillion market.
A lot of people tell me, Charles, I don't want to buy a stock because it's $200 a share. It's too expensive. What are you going to say about a Bitcoin? I mean, what if someone says, I don't want to buy Bitcoin, give me one of these little ones.
The
trading at a penny.
You want Squid Game coin? You want it?
That's what people, don't you want something that goes from a penny to $20? No, I'm just saying that that's what a lot of people say. What do you say to them about that?
I say be very careful. You can go to Vegas, or you can play the altcoin market, right? Pick your poison.
Okay. Hey, let's go. Stay on crypto. I've got a video question from Jill. She's in North Carolina.
As we get this crypto knowledge here, make sure you guys know that we'll do I'm feeling a little generous. We'll do a giveaway of 2,000 likes. If you guys are staying for a while, make sure to slap that bell button and the subscribe, because we're getting on our way to 120,000, where we have something surprised for you guys.
Finances in the cryptocurrency world. Just need a couple tips on where to begin and how to get started. Thank you so much.
So again, that gets kind of back to what we're doing. There's an intimidation factor. I opened the account today. Then I went to my bank to wire the money over, so I could start buying and trading probably tomorrow morning or tonight. I'm a stock guy. I forgot that crypto never stops trading, right? So I could do it at midnight. But it is an intimidating process, particularly when you get to these different numbers and their volatility.
Yeah, and it's not a numbers amount, so it's not, I don't have 70,000 to buy a Bitcoin. You can buy on Coinbase for as little as $2 in your local currency. So that's not the intimidating factor. It's really opening up the wallet. But this is changing, right? There was a record amount of volume traded on Bitcoin in October in the first week. So more people are getting into it. There's a record amount of new wallets being opened up. But what I would say to people is just buy a little bit, get in, try it out, feel it. and then, add more over time as you get more comfortable. But I would not recommend holding more than 20% of your assets in cryptocurrencies. They're still extremely volatile and risky.
All right. Plus, you want room for some other things because you do more than just crypto. That brings me to our next question. A real hot spot, obviously, are these electric vehicle stocks. So here's a question from Leanne. Tech stocks with regards to electric cars, their card chips and certain products that are needed for these automobiles will revolutionize our economy in the next decade. What are your thoughts on investing in these companies? I've been hearing to start investing in these companies because they are going to take off.
Well, they have already taken off. Tesla's at an all-time high. Market cap for Tesla is bigger than all the other automakers, but more than that, it's now bigger than the entire energy industry.
So the question is it too late?
It's not too late, but you want to be careful. And so what I mean by that, don't be a stock picker for this theme. Buy an ETF, get exposure, diversified exposure, so you're there, and you're not going to get yourself in a trap where you're buying at all-time highs.
Have you done anything in the metaverse?
Yeah, I own Roblox. They just reported last night an incredible quarter. And I think this bodes well for crypto in general, because on Roblox, so this is a gaming platform, they use a digital currency called Robux. And this is how the games are played on there. And there's this crazy stat, like 75% of kids in America aged 9 to 12 played Roblox in the last year. So when people are like, there's no utility to cryptocurrencies, look at Roblox. People are using this digital currency like crazy.
Yeah, that's my granddaughter. My 9-year-old granddaughter, she hit me to it about 2 years ago. All right, well, fantastic. Absolutely. Folks, can we get a round of applause, please? Yeah, great stuff. No wonder your newsletter has gone through the roof. So as the way we trade and invest change, because we just heard about that, so does our appetite for risk and huge gains. So how can you keep that green in the screen and put it in your wallet in this volatile market, and should you really do it on your own? We'll be right back.
Actually, no, she's making a lot of great points about crypto. Make sure that you guys are very careful about what amount of your portfolio is in crypto. But if it isn't, if you don't have any of your money in crypto, that's probably going to make you feel FOMO in a real bad way. So if you guys haven't got your $250 of free Bitcoin from BlockFi, that is in the description down below. In fact, we're doing something with them in the near future to tell you a little bit about what they want, hoping are to get out of this recent crypto boom. Where are we at right now? We saw that there were all-time highs on the crypto economy. Ethereum, Bitcoin, and SHIB Doge are all pulling back after those all-time highs. Ethereum is currently at 4,700. That's 1.5% down. Bitcoin is at 66,500. That's 1.5% down. And SHIB is also 1.5% down. Night Singh is asking about whether or not AMC YouTubers are getting shade. I don't think so. Not more than I've noticed in the past. Have you guys noticed the financial movement here changing its demographic? Have you guys noticed whether or not people who are younger are getting interested in investing? Have you noticed that people who are relatives maybe are starting to get interested in investing? Who do you guys identify as? I want to know where you guys come from, and I want to know what you guys think you are. New time investors, you guys are prodigies, you guys are getting in late in the game, but always better late than never. Steven, Ty, Kuhn, we have Houdini, Melvin Williams, Cyberbully. Sanos K had 150K in profits from Shiba Inu last week, and they're still holding. That's SHIB right there. We also heard from the AMC earnings call that there's going to be SHIB in the being able to accept SHIB in the works already. So Adam Aaron is putting out 7 really good reasons to get excited about AMC, and there it is. The most positive news that they could possibly get, and they still have a 10% downtrend today. We came back down to the EMA with a small bounce, but now we have a trickier resistance to get past. We have this simple moving average crossing up over the price action right here at $40.37. Let's see. Looks like we are back with new investor revolution. Make sure you guys know we're going up to 2,000 likes right here.
All the new investor revolution. For years, investors accepted the notion they should be thrilled, like with mid-single-digit annual returns, even though they watched stocks and companies that they knew, right? They knew these products, and these stocks went through the roof. They didn't own them. Somehow their financial advisors, though, were making millions and they were making crumbs. Well, I can tell you right now, that's changing big time. Investors right now, in fact, according to a new survey, expect at least 17.5% a year. Unfortunately, their advisors keep telling them, hey, 6.7% is more like it. So here's the thing. Wall Street would never, and I mean never, accept single-digit returns with their own trading money. In fact, check out this headline. It's just from a year ago in October. Wall Street set for the first $100 billion trading year in a decade. If Wall Street, let me tell you, if any Wall Street bank only made a single digit like trading in a quarter, I'm talking just for a 3-month period, their stock would be absolutely hammered. So people are asking for more risk, they're demanding more risk, and they think they're going to make more money. I'm going to bring in the CIO of Laffer Tangler Investments, Nancy Tangler. And Nancy, listen, it's no secret, you're one of my favorites on Wall Street, in part because you're a straight shooter, but you've encouraged a lot of individual investors over the years to get involved. What do you think that people are now looking for bigger gains for themselves because they see who has the yachts, and it's always the person telling them to accept meager gains?
Yeah, Charles, thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. You guys are really, really generating a lot of enthusiasm. I think that what's so exciting for me right now is that investing has become more accessible. You know, I wrote a book for women on investing, and my purpose behind that was to open up investing to women who had kind of excused themselves from the conversation. And by the way, the millennials are excusing themselves from the conversation at a greater rate than my generation, the baby boomers. So keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, the fees have been egregious. The language, the lingo has been off-putting. And so I think what you're doing and what I'm trying to do is open up the whole process, because as Peter Lynch famously said, anybody with a 5th grade education in math can invest.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get to some questions, Nancy. I want to start with Doug from Florida. Take a listen.
Good afternoon, Charles. Doug Marshman from Deltona, Florida. I've been retired for 9 years. For the last 5 years, I've been doing my own portfolio. I'm averaging about 24 to 28% return on investment. My question is this about average? Should I ask for help, or should I continue doing what I'm doing? I seem to enjoy working with my own portfolio, and it doesn't seem to bother me that much. So I'm looking for your advice. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful day.
Well, first I'll say thank you for your service, Doug. Second, I'm like, give me your resume. I'll get it out of Wall Street. You might get a job before the day is over. 24% for 5 years. That ain't bad, my man. That's some good stuff. What do you tell someone like that, Nancy?
I tell him 2 things. One, the thing that you said, which is we have an opening at Laffer Tangler in Scottsdale. But we'll take an ex-Air Force. And secondly, didn't his mother tell him it wasn't polite to brag on public television? I mean, national television. That is an incredible return. And if he's enjoying it, I say you keep doing what you're doing, and just make sure that you're diversified to some extent. Right. About 12 stocks is optimal. But do it and keep at it. And mazel tov.
I've got my own research firm for over 30 years, and one thing I've learned is that a lot of times people don't know what's a good return. And sometimes it could be good and sometimes it could be bad, because I've seen people who've been up 50% in the stock in 6 months, and they think that's low, and they want to get more, right? It's hard to gauge your greed level, your risk level, make adjustments to those sort of tolerances. So 24% on any average year is really amazing. So I salute Doug. I always get a lot of questions from retired folks who need to be careful with their money, obviously. So here's one from Paula, who did ask, I'm 57 years old, retired law enforcement executive with a monthly pension of $3,500, $821,000 in a 457B account. I have 45% in stable income funds, 55% in large cap funds. Should I be more conservative now that I'm retired? We do a lot, Nancy, on the show, that 60-40 retirement thing. Remember, though, this is a 57-year-old person, probably vigorous, wants to live a really active life.
Yeah, and I tell my clients that retirement is 20 years of unemployment, 30 if you're lucky. So I think she's too conservatively invested, and with a pension, that provides her with stable income on its own. So I would recommend she have a more aggressive allocation to equities. There was a great study done by TIAA-CREF in 1998, and they interviewed Burton Malkiel, Jack Bogle, and Jane Bryant Quinn, and they each put together a portfolio. Jane Bryant Quinn's was the most aggressive. She had her portfolio at 80% equities at retirement, and she of course had the best return. Yeah. So I think stocks are going to go down, but we know that 2/3 of the years they go up. So I would encourage her to put more money into stocks.
A random walk down Wall Street, Murphill's book it's a good book, but I disagree with almost everything in there. All right, this is a question that really applies to so many out there. Diana asks, when do I open a Roth IRA? I currently contribute to a 401k and I have a savings account. My savings has a pretty good balance right now. I'm 49 years old. Nancy, this is right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I say you open it right now, yesterday. The biggest expense that retirees have in retirement is not taxes. It's not healthcare, it's taxes. So if you can draw money out of a Roth IRA for emergency needs, you're going to be way ahead of everyone else. So she should put the maximum in, invest it aggressively. She's young, she's got plenty of time, and that would be my recommendation. Yeah,
and you might even be able to hide out there if they ever start taxing unrealized gains. We'll see. Let's cross our fingers that never happens. All right, Nancy, I got one more for you, and this is from Rebecca. She says, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've always been interested in stocks, and would love to try a small investment to see if it generates any financial growth. Do you have any recommendations on how to get started as a beginner investor?
Absolutely. It's so much easier now than it was when I was a young mother. You can open an account at any of the brokers with zero balance. You can contribute as little as $50, I think even less than that per month, and you can buy fractional shares in stocks. So I would encourage her to get started right now. I used to sit around the dinner table and talk about different stocks with my kids. I got ideas from them of things they liked. When we went shopping, we talked about stocks all the time. It's a great way for her to teach her kids economics, and there are so many examples of people who had very little means in terms of income who died multimillionaires. I write about it in my USA Today column all the time. It just takes time, and it just takes staying in the market. So I encourage her to buy what she knows. Yeah,
it reminds me, there's a guy in Rhode Island, and maybe 10 years now, he passed away. He worked at a gas station. Ronald was his first name. I forgot his last name. Frugal as hell. He drove an old car. He never parked at parking meters. And, when he died, he donated $3 million to a library, $2 million to a hospital. And he had mostly stuff that everybody heard of, right? He had the Procter & Gamble's of the world. And that's what he loved. He loved investing, and he was very frugal. We're not all going to be that frugal, but I tell people all the time, and this is good for the audience as well, if you're waiting and waiting, people tell me all the time, Charles, I'm not in the market, but I want to get in. You're in the market. You're in. If you put on a pair of Nikes today, you're in the market. If you got in a Ford, you're in the market. If you logged into a laptop, you're in the market. You are making other people rich. Consider maybe making yourselves rich. Nancy, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charles.
We'll see you soon. Well, you've heard from our team of experts. Now it's my turn to answer your questions directly. We're going to talk about everything from understanding market technicals to investing in mining asteroids. We're going to cover it all. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Mining asteroids. Charles Payne is making the most important point is that no matter what you do, even if you think, my mom thought this for a long time, that investing is just gambling, guess what? You have been playing the stock market, even if you had just a savings account, right? The simplest, the probably the most wholesome, the way that people thought, was the safest way to hold your money, a savings account. Oh no. As it turns out, someone was taking the money out of your savings account and playing the stock market with it. And then just pretending like you had all that money in your savings account this whole time. That's just how the world economy works, all right? you are playing in the market no matter what, which is why you probably want to have a good hand when you're playing. We're still watching the commercials right now for the investor revolution. However, I want to be able to show off the buy and sell signals, especially the buy signal from Lux Algo. This was back on the 2nd of November when AMC was at 37.90. You would have been able to cash this buy signal all the way up to 46.82. That's thanks to Lux algorithm. How did I know that AMC was going to have such a great couple of days in a row? Earnings call and the alerts from ChatterQuant. So those are two tools that I use constantly in order to be able to just tell my own brain, hey, am I making a good gut assumption? You can talk to your kids at the dinner table just like that expert said that she does, but at the end of the day, you probably want an algorithm, something that is high computational, something that is terminal for the retail investor to be able to play with and feel secure about. So that's why ChatterQuant, you guys get 30% off with the link in the description, and Lux Algo, the one that you saw with the buy and the sell signals, that one is my personal favorite and I use on the daily. We got Night Sing in here, Greg Brefeld, Yuki, we got Kevin, and J-Rod, the Video Whiz. We have Leah and Tico Mello. Leah says, blew my brain up with this. That's really true. Unfortunately, even if you're not playing the market, someone else is playing the market with your money. So how about you play the market with your money? At the end of the day, if you played it in October, you probably got burned. But as of right now, it's still earnings fever. And later today, we're going to have NEO earnings, as well as a couple of other EV sector blowouts, let me say, big revelations. Tesla today is down 10%. So after I would say, unprecedented rise, even when Tesla was jumping from around $100 to then $300, it hasn't jumped to the thousands with such confidence. Right now, we're going right back to a new investor revolution. Drop a like here. We're going up to 2,000 likes. Comment out which one you are.
To our town hall, the new investor revolution is flying by. Now I get a chance to try to answer some of your questions directly. In fact, let's go straight to Tony in Wisconsin. He's asking, I'd be interested in determining the most effective fundamentals to look at when trying to identify good stocks to invest in. Technicals are so confusing to say the least if you don't understand how to evaluate the graphs. Well, here's the thing, Tony. You're conflating two separate things. So fundamentals for me, they're like a report card. They reflect execution, how well management is doing, and potential. And that tells me what stocks I want to own. Technicals, on the other hand, that's sort of a history of the movement of the stock. And that gauges things like when paper hands may, for instance, sell. And then that's when you want to buy. So that tells me when I want to buy. Fundamentals, what I want to buy. Technicals, when I want to pull the trigger. I got another fundamental question. This one comes from Charlie. Let's take a listen.
Charles, can you talk about price to earnings ratio and how it should be used to select a company? I know it's a common statistic that's often misunderstood and has a lot of variables in it that investors should understand. Thank you.
I'm not sure how PE ratio got to be so popular. Honestly, I'm not really wedded to. First of all, there are two main ones. The trailing 12 months, that's the one you mostly hear on TV, PE ratio. And essentially, you're dividing price into earnings. I kind of like the forward PE ratio because that gives me a gauge on where Wall Street thinks a company may go with respect to earnings. But neither one of them really weigh heavy when I'm making decisions to buy, sell, or hold a stock. Moreover, I don't see how anyone could ever be in a long-term Grand Slam winner. Think about this. How often have you seen a hot stock on TV and somebody will say, I don't like it because the PE ratio is high? I know it went from $10 to $200 a share. When it was 10, it had a high PE. So you'll never be in these great stocks if you're just focused on PE ratios. Learn about them like anything else, but I would not rank that high in the decision-making process. Time for one from the studio audience. I'm going to go to Priscilla. Where are you, Priscilla?
Right here.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, and yourself?
I'm good.
I have a 14-year-old grandson. I've been talking about making investments. So he saw the commercial on TV, and I told him that was good for him, the small change one. But I spoke to a couple of brokers myself, and I wasn't very comfortable with them. How do you get comfortable giving money to somebody that you don't really know and hasn't made you feel that they've earned your trust.
I know exactly what you're talking about. By the way, I started out as a broker on Wall Street. I had a desk and a phone. So I was on the other end of that. Hi, this is Charles Clinton. Hello, this is Charles. They slamming the phone on me. Finally, I spoke to a guy who's a lawyer. And I read the script, and he said, you know what? You read well, but what do you want? I ripped up the script after that, and I just spoke from the heart. Here's what I would say. Don't go play golf with these people, right? And honestly, they're going to just kind of give you the whole sales pitch. I think that you need to find someone who's paying attention to you. So you have the first conversation. You may sprinkle some things in there that are important to you. Maybe the second conversation, if they don't pick up on those kind of things, then they're just sort of following a script. It's important that you feel comfortable with the person, though, that you're giving your money to. It's also important that they listen to where you want to invest. You say, I want to buy this, but then they're telling you that this is better. That might be a red flag. So it takes a moment to get comfortable, but we did talk about, though, don't let that hold you back, okay? Find someone you're comfortable with if you want to go with a full live person, or try it online if you want to go yourself. All right, so we've got time for a few more questions, so let's start with one from David. He says, hey, Charles, get your crystal ball out. I want to set my 1-year-old son up in a custodial account. Hope it could cover his college tuition for 17 years from now. What should I be looking at? You know, a lot of people want to get that one stock to start the kid off, and it's really amazing. When I first started in the business, it was all about Disney. Because even back in the day, you could get a certificate from Disney, a stock certificate, and it had the characters on it. And when you show it to the kid, they're like, oh, man, I love it. They actually became collector's items. And so they don't do that anymore. So we just talked about Roblox. That's the one I'm starting kids off with. Because what happens is when your kid's playing the game, you say, hey, you're part owner of this. And as they get older, they feel more emboldened. My son, growing up, gave me more stock winners than almost anybody else I know. All right, I want to go back to the studio audience and a question from Chris K. Chris.
Hey, Charles. First of all, thanks for having us. And just to reiterate what my neighbor said, fantastic book.
Thank you.
It really changed the way I handle my money. For years, I gave it to a big company and paid a fee, and it was underwhelming. Read this book, took control of my own money. I'll tell you, thank you for what you do for the little investor. My question is this. If you're in your 70s or 80s and you're retired and you don't have a huge pension, but you have Social Security, what's the new gold? The bonds are paying so little. What do you recommend for that 20-30% plug-in? High dividend stocks, what do you recommend?
Honestly, I mean, right now, Bitcoin is proving to be a pretty good hedge against inflation. It hasn't had a multi-century test like gold has had, but this first major test, it really is proving itself. That's something to consider. I always believe in owning something, even with a high yield, that can go up. So I'm looking for yields over 4%. But also where the stock has a chance to go up as well. Because right now, even though right now the yield on the S&P is about 1.3%, if you add in inflation, you're losing money, which is your point. So find you a high-yielding stock also. Doesn't necessarily have to be one of these utilities per se, where the company itself also has some upside potential.
Great. And do you have time for I-bonds, to comment about I-bonds?
I don't know. Let me get back to you. Us TV guys, we're wedded to the prompter. In fact, I'm going to go to Brian. He also has a question from the audience. Brian?
So my question is, with inflation flourishing, but the government debt in relation to GDP being, I think it's an all-time high, with the exception maybe of last year. Will the Feds be able to increase interest rates while they have this massive debt?
It's a fantastic.
Whoa. It's a fantastic. Okay, give me a hot sec. As I refresh this page. Some of you are saying, well, let's talk about who's here right now. Sean Ends Betts, Esmeralda Jovel, Nefarious Media, Void, Leah J, Hey guys, we're going to go straight into the
Listen to the bond market. It is coming down hard. The 10-year yield is free falling. The 2-year is going up. That suggests a much softer economy next year. I don't see how the Fed's going to hike rates. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they could even finish this so-called tapering. And ultimately, to your point, if we pay $600 billion a year on interest on the debt that we owe, imagine when yields go up. Can we really, as a nation, afford $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion, $2 trillion just on interest? So I'm with you. I don't think they hike rates, and if they do, it'll just be one and done. That's just my opinion. All right, I want to go to Hunter from New York. He has a great question to help us round out the show. Which industries do you think are going to be prominent in the next 5 years? Do you believe in space tourism will be a fad or a long-term sustainable market? I got to tell you something. Space tourism, in my mind, is just going to be a fraction of that space commerce. Now, some firms are saying $3 trillion in industry in 10 years. It's going to be much, much bigger than that. Think about this. We talk about the cloud. We're talking about space. We're talking about satellites. There's going to be asteroid mining. Defense warfare. It's going to be fought up there. Eventually, living and colonization. So, yeah, space tourism is cute. We're going to go a lot more than that for sure. All right, Chris, I got one from Chris. I am 76. Never bought a stock. What should I do with $3,000? Well, if your bills are paid and all your emergencies are covered, I say have a blast with it. I really would. It's like, I know that's counterintuitive, but, and you can play it close to the vest, but if you're not going fishing, maybe you want to do some day trading. I can tell you right now, if you start to do this stuff, you and your grandchildren will have a much better relationship. They are going to think you are super duper hip. All right, Gary asked, there's much common advice out there to limit your losses after selling 15 to 25% drops, when in fact there are 50% drops regularly in the market, which could cause small investors to be whipsawed out the market. So, I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to stop losses, I always say stop and think about why you bought the stock. If you bought a stock to buy and hold it because you believe in a long-term story and the underlying fundamentals, then hold it unless that story changes. If you buy it for a trade, then you want to trade it. That's really pretty simple. People always ask me about stops when the stocks are going down. That's when you ask yourself the question. It's when you buy the stock, know why you bought it. That will inform how you hold it and when you sell it. I think I got time for a question from Roy. So here it is. He's asking that these days I shifted my portfolio to half blue chip stocks, half cash. My intention is to ride out Biden's disastrous term and not sell anything. I do not want to give him any more of my earnings than I have to. Am I being too political about my investing strategy? And the answer is yes. You know, I get this all the time. And when President Trump was in office, liberals didn't make any money. Biden's in office, I know a lot of conservatives who've gotten out. We're talking about investing in great companies, period. Yes, the president can hurt him with more taxes, more regulations, and that could hurt you short term. But long term, you want to own these great companies, particularly these great American companies that are changing the world. So be very, very careful. And also, if you follow politics, you might miss out on some great stocks. I wish we never had to know what a CEO thought in terms of politics. I wish I didn't never have to have their opinions. When they started to do that, I think they ruined it for a whole lot of people. Now, I want to say before we wrap up, first and foremost, this has been an amazing honor. Everyone in this room and millions of people taking control of their financial lives are heroes to themselves and their families. And I know it is not easy, but it is so rewarding. In fact, I'm reminded of a song by the late, great Curtis Mayfield, and there's a part in it I wanted to share with you. I'm so glad I've got my own, so glad that I can see. My life's a natural high. The man can't put no thing on me. There's something kind of funny how the man take your money. He's shrewd as he can be in such a way you'll never see. It's a terrible thing inside when your natural high has died. Never, ever let your natural high die. Never give up. Thank you very much. We'll see you back here for Making Money weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, have a great day and God bless. Thank you very much.
All right. Good poet, too. He's a poet. He's a man with soul. He's a man that knows what's aching and how to fix it. That's Charles Payne and Making Money, the new investor revolution with Matt and Trey. So I have a question that you guys probably know the answer to. You guys want to do some research, you guys want to dig a little bit into the data while Power Hour is about to roll through. I thought, today is a good day to be able to bring out the old bell, which we're going to ring in about a minute and a half to be able to signal at 3 p.m. Eastern. That was a great long hour. 3 p.m. Eastern to be able to talk directly to you guys. Oh, I didn't get to actually finish the interview with Charles Payne from a couple months ago. This was back in July. Let's see what our answer was when Charles asked his second question. Hold on a sec. And then we'll go right into the Power Hour.
Common market, they blame you for it being down today. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it just makes me feel even more excited. It's just more attention on the movement, to be honest. I feel like I feel like there are plenty of people who still trust, what they're hearing, but there are a lot more people who are seeing things the other way now. They're seeing things for what they really are. They know that this wasn't caused by us. They're starting to, realize what's really going on. It's exciting.
Okay. Andrew, how do you grow this community? I look at Google Trends and things like that. It's starting to slow down a little bit. I know it's strong, but how do you make it grow even more?
Charles, the apes are investing in the definition of investing. So originally, you would go out and say, there are buzzwords we like to use, FUD, or fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's better to use a more commonly recognized word, propaganda. When people come into the mainstream media, they expect to be able to trust people like you, silverbacks, Charles Payne fans out there. They are talking specifically about whether or not... Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, unfortunately, we're running out of time. We don't have as much time on the air as you have on YouTube. I want to say God bless, congratulations. And you're right. Listen, I'm working on another book, and I've got a whole chapter in Diamond Hands, and if
He does have a chapter in all Diamond Hands. So that was Charles Payne back in July. Oh, good times to be able to talk to the silverback, the man with the individual investors in mind. All right, that's noon for me on the Pacific Coast. You guys are looking at the East Coast, 3 o'clock. That means 3 dings on the bell. 1, 2, 3, that is Power Hour. Let's jump into it. How is it going? So what we saw earlier was AMC and GME on a downtrend. However, all downtrends have the potential for a serious bullish technical bounce. And what we saw earlier was that AMC dipped in the very beginning of the morning underneath its VWAP, where the VWAP acted as dynamic resistance ever since, keeping it underneath multiple different attempts to break above, and then finally one crucial resistance closer to the beginning of the second half of the day. When we got to the bottom at 39.25, you might have noticed that that's our opportunity to double bottom. Right, we hit that bottom twice. You could say that this third bottom was very close to being a triple bottom here, but when we were able to get the signal up, that was the boost during the Charles Payne show, Making Money with Charles Payne, where we were able to rise back up to the VWAP. And like I said, VWAP still acting as resistance. GameStop, on the other hand, has not seen its own volumetric weighted average price since the very beginning of the day. It dipped below it and has not come back to get rejected by or become supported by it ever since. But right now it's tangling with its simple moving average, which means it's currently holding at 5.5% down, with the potential to reach up into the 210.16 as the next level resistance. Doesn't look like it is going to dip back to 196.89, although that is the next level of support. AMC next level to look for is the resistance we drew, $40 flat, and then at $40.70 or $40.69. Robert Zuccarello says, I wasn't shocked by the coordinated attack on AMC after earnings call. This ape is still holding. Zach Batson says, it's called shorting. Let's see. Ziptic says, AMC got back another $1 during their interview, and as soon as it ended, dropped back down. The hedge funds are so desperate to keep this thing from hitting $45 plus by Friday. Cassandra Cavalli says those following the cycle theories and wick-off accumulation are not surprised by this pullback. It's all good. Bullish institutions are trying to shake out the paper hands before a markup. We also saw there are macro bullish signals that AMC is following. We saw the double bottom from the daily chart. We pull back just to see if it's broken out of that pattern. Actually, you could say that here, coming down from the 52.79s, down to the same bottom twice of 33.64, and then 33.30s. we rose back up to previously unhit resistances. So we had to draw a couple on our way up there. And then we returned back down after a day's worth of trading. It seems like the double bottom would need another signal to be able to push it back up. AMC is now pushing right past the 200 EMA, which is 14 cents higher than the next level of support. Mr. Rodriguez, it's a fun name. That's my guy. Durko says, what other stocks drop on good news other than the meme stocks? Brex says, talked with my friend who is an E-Trade representative, and without specifically saying anything about dates or price targets, he said, it's coming. The E-Trade rep. Got it. E-Trade reps. The brokers themselves, they got info. Are you hot? Are you too hot? Would you like to come on this pillow? Here you go. Here you go. Yeah. He is splayed out. Let's see. Cassandra says AMC beats earnings and then drops 12%. That's just manipulation, but it'll pass. And then Night Sing says, cheers, I'll send some links on Instagram. Nice. Let's take a look at AMC pushing past right now. It's EMA like we said. Next level of resistance is gonna have to be the $40.54 VWAP coming down to meet it. We've already been rejected once. Looks like we're not gonna have the chance to actually go all the way up. There's 3 solid minute candles bringing us up from $39.82 all the way up to $40.40. A red day all across the market is a good chance to be able to jump into it. Jump into some major deals. Celador reverse back in the stream. FUV down about 7%. Exila, TCAT. Virgin Galactic is a winner today, up 7.5%. Seems like, okay, so I've been tracking Virgin Galactic. That it does these crazy pullbacks and then a mad rip every so often. So I've been tracking this. Okay, it hasn't had a rip since May. So is this the very beginning of it? It's up 7%. Next level of resistance is where it's currently holding, 2160. But the one after that is all the way up to 30. So is this SPCE's shot to try to run all the way back up? Let me just draw that resistance I saw earlier. Here, $20.50, $20.75, $21.68. Actually, a little low, $21.96. Okay, that's close. Something like this. That's 2 touch points there, and then coming right here. Did we get rejected? Yeah, $21.68, which is the most recent rejection that we have had. AMC brings itself back down to $40. Ori says, for all the 1K AMC sellers, remember these days, all the ferry, if you are thinking about selling at the first 4 figures. Steven Bogansky. Someone in the chat says that this would create luck. Thank you for the soup. Every super chat comes with some soup noises. Oh, man. People saying buy the rumors, sell the news. Don't consider good news in the equation, I guess. Sounds like rhetoric to keep you cycling money, says Cyberbully. Yeah. Now, let me see. Let's take a look at, so Microsoft had that announcement recently. What are some other major gainers? Ooh. Bitcoin was up, just checking real quick, up all the way up at 67,200 earlier today. So AMC got rejected even earlier, but this is now starting to form a compelling resistance. I think we got rejected 3 times at $40.48. If that's the case, not quite, $40.40-ish cents. A very tight level of resistance. That's tight. Let's see. AMC is now coming to the down to the 40. Has a good shot to be able to try to crawl on back to the VWAP. What are you guys thinking about midweek? What are the main gainers and losers? Let me pull up ChatterQuant to see if there are any interesting earnings coming up. Okay. Tuesday before open and then after close. So we have Coinbase, Neo, DoorDash. Let's just pull some of these up. DoorDash, Unity. DoorDash and Unity seem like they are going to be beats. Wynn Resorts. Okay, let's take a look at Neo. Tesla TA. So looking at 44.27 on Neo's high, and dropped out of that resistance pretty early, down 5% today before earnings. You can bet that there's likely going to be a rip right as after hours begins, leading into the actual earnings call. DoorDash. Sometimes you can't call them. Sometimes you call PayPal to the upside. So what was PayPal? So PayPal was a beat, according to original expectations of earnings. So you have to use something else after you get the alert. You have to use Lux to see where the stock is actually headed. Let's see, Tesla, AMD, PETV, SPY, Palantir, PayPal. DoorDash seems to have recovered immensely from a dip earlier today. Its earnings is coming out later. Let's see. Falcon Tube says, can anyone see what was the next day drops after every earnings call of GME and AMC since the January squeeze? That would be a great data visualization. Data viz. People, you want to visualize this? Can you see it? I think someone was asking for Tesla earlier. TSLA. Tesla dropped to the very bottom of this support that I drew from a previous analysis. Holding tight. Next level of support is all the way down at 881. Yeah, because it really hasn't stopped. So it's a good thing it did stop at 1,029. Is it facing resistance right now? Nearly. 3 mediocre touch points here. Okay. Wow. His analysis on Tesla is actually not so bad. 1, 2, 3. That's not bad. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back to the 5-minute. Sweet. Tesla's currently holding on tight. I think that tomorrow's IPO is actually going to be relevant for Tesla's price action. NAKD. Okay, let me see. Average Rob says, after losing, I'm buying back in with 2K. He says, honestly, hedge funds are in all stocks going to have to cover soon, not just AMC. Steve D says, thank you for streaming this. Oh, good, man. Happy to be here. You guys got the number of likes equal to the number of people in here yet? So close. About 100 more. What's tomorrow IPO? Says Super Killer. Here, let's take a quick listen to what's tomorrow's IPO. Let's see if we have some new information about Rivian. Options bulls focus on eBay. Roblox. People are really jumping into the Roblox. Robinhood data breach shows company is not ready. Oh, Kramer gets to go off on them. Here it is. What investors should expect from Rivian's upcoming IPO.
Robinhood is down in the pre-market after disclosing that data security incident that took...
In the meantime, EV maker Rivian is expected to price tonight in what could be the most anticipated IPO in the electric vehicle world since Tesla. Phil LeBeau joins us right now. He's got the details on this, and there is a lot of hype around this and a lot of money, too.
There is a lot of money, Becky, and don't be surprised. They've already raised the range on this IPO. Don't be surprised if this runs. Because once it starts trading tomorrow, I've talked with a number of executives in the auto industry. The level of anticipation and how much excitement there is around Rivian, we haven't seen this in a long time. So let's bring everybody up to speed in terms of what the IPO will come out as. Remember, the pricing is after the bell today. Previously, the range was $57 to $62 a share, now $72 to $74 a share, and the valuation is now up to $65 billion. Let's put that valuation into some perspective with either EV startups or established automakers that are out there trading right now in terms of their market caps. You've got Rivian coming in potentially up to $65 billion.
Okay, that's kind of crazy. So let's just think about this company. Have you ever heard of this company? Some of you have, but be very careful you don't get burned on this company. It's being estimated, right? Placed right above a Honda, right under Lucid, which is, relatively under Ford. Now they're going to tell you that Ford was actually valued way more than it was just a few months ago. But at the end of the day, think about who is going to be winning the EV wars. Think about whether or not people are going to be ready to buy Teslas, buy SUVs, which even Tesla is having trouble with selling, right? And then finally adopting and trusting the stock. That's the most important part. IPO frenzies the day of has happened to almost every IPO that we've seen. Not in the past few months, but even in the past few days, we've seen a couple of fantastically all over the place IPOs. What's up, Glitch?
Valued more than the market cap of Honda, getting close to Lucid, and Ford is $79 billion. By the way, that Ford valuation, go back 6 months, it was far lower than that, probably down closer to $55 or $60 billion. It's really just taken off within the last 6 months or so. So for Rivian, we know so much about the R1T pickup truck, the electric pickup truck. We did a review with it where we had a chance to drive it, get a sense of what it's all about. They are expecting to deliver 1,000 of these pickup trucks this year. They have lost $994 million. They did that in the first half of this year. They've got 48,000 orders for the R1T pickup truck. The other part of the business that perhaps is not appreciated as much as it should be is Amazon. We're going to show you shares of Amazon and Ford. Both of them have a stake in Rivian. Amazon owns 20%, Ford has 12%. Many people I've talked with, guys, have said, look, if you're looking at Rivian strictly as an EV...
And remember, Ford does have approximately 12% stake in Rivian. Amazon's one of his first customers. Oh, Glitch, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, Mark Baptiste saying, it's Christmas all over again. Andrew is here for Power Hour. It is one and only in a million chances. No, I'm just kidding. We are back for good, and that's why you guys are expecting us here on the daily. If you guys are here brand new, welcome. How's it going? Welcome to the Moon Platoon. Happy to have you here. Subscribe, hit that bell, because we'll be hitting that bell, bell. Glitch says bought 5K worth of Ford at $11 earlier this year. Nice job, Glitch. Yikes! Honestly, some of these wins are just underneath our noses. It's right there. You know how happy Meatball is. Look at him. Okay, we have a couple of words from Mr. Grumpy Pants. From Jim Cramer about Robinhood and the hack that happened earlier today.
Took place Wednesday night. In a blog post, the trading platform said, quote, the unauthorized party obtained a list of email addresses for about 5 million people and full names for a different group of approximately 2 million people. Robinhood says the breach has since been contained. No social security numbers, bank account numbers, or debit card numbers were exposed in the hack. Additionally, this report this morning that the EU is on pace to ban payment for order flow has things interesting.
Well, look, Robinhood, the travails continue. When you go over that, the hack, it's very odd because they do say 310 people got additional name, date of birth, zip code, and then 10 people got more extra 10. I mean, okay, they brought in Mandy and FireEye, but I just find that Robinhood is, again, not ready. It's just not ready. That's not their fault. No one ever anticipated how well it would do. I do think that they think safety is paramount, but payment for order flow, which is something that we stopped talking about with Chairman Gensler, is something that I think you're going to have to really explain to your customers why you're not getting commission free. That's the wrong term, is commission free.
When you say not ready, what do you mean? Not ready for what?
I mean, like,
not ready to be a public company? What do you mean not ready?
The compliance, the security, all the things that you need, like that Morgan Stanley would just have, Goldman would have. It just seems like that. I mean, a hack. Boom.
Yeah, although there are any number of institutions. I mean, it's every day.
Okay, I'm still thinking about what happened.
We do hope our financial institutions may be a bit
At the end of January, it showed you that they didn't have the controls, and then they've tried to institute the controls. Look, if they're by the grace of God, we're all not hacked, right? I mean, I got hacked at JP Morgan. Yeah. I got hacked at Apple. I bought everybody in the town where the Great White struck. I bought everybody a phone now.
I'm not following you.
Oh, when you go down Garden State, there's a town where the Great White came up.
What are you?
No, I'm just saying that there was a town, and I want to reveal the name of the town. But they got my number, and they bought a number of phones.
Are you conflating?
So this is news, I think. As you might not know if you're just brand new on the show, but Kramer is our comic relief. He has made fun of AMC and GME's movement, and he has also tried to ride the coattails of it unironically as well, to very little avail. So just to be clear, he has his hot takes, and they're funny. We are taking a look at where AMC is currently trending underneath this level of resistance at $40. It's also a mental barrier. AMC is trying to chug up above it. GME currently underneath its simple moving average. It's just relaxing. GME has just slid down into the 200s and then come right up to 209 before no clear reason for getting rejected, but dropping underneath its simple moving average once again. Scuba Steve is asking, what time is Matt on? Matt is on in negative 40 minutes. He was on relatively early in the beginning of the stream, about 20 minutes in, or 25 minutes in. Leah says, why is that man so hilarious? Devin says, Kramer glitching live, LMAO. And Bartista says, Kramer is hilarious. Nightsing, I will take a look. I'll take a look after the stream. Kramer is the meme stock movement's court jester. Cyberbully calling for a protein powder party. Protein powder party. Okay, I'm down. What does it entail? What does that look like? Let me try and pull up one more piece of news from earlier today, because something that you might have noticed is that we were tracking AMC's movement on the macro scale. There are potentially other stocks that have alerts that we would just want to be able to point at them out. Final trades. Hood helps me understand. Oh, it's Mr. Wonderful. He's
okay,
right
so
here.
Kevin O'Leary, let's talk
Kevin
Robinhood
O'Leary.
now. Those shares are under pressure. The company disclosed a data security breach that occurred last week. You also have the European Commission talking about banning payment for order flow. You own Robinhood. What do we do with this stock now?
You think about it in the context of 20 million accounts that didn't exist or weren't even involved in the stock market just 36 months ago. That's the way I look at Robinhood. The other reason I own it, and I have it on my phone with the notifications on, is I now believe there's a direct correlation between market capitalization and social media. The activity that occurs on Robinhood, on Reddit, in other blogs that start to focus on various names, I need to know that as it's happening. And as a result, I've been very cautious about shorting. I'm very, very, concerned these days that this theme, this idea of meme stocks and everything else was a flash in the pan. That is not the case. If you want one of the best indexes to watch what's occurring, simply download Robinhood, put a few $1,000s into it, buy some stocks, and watch what happens. It is probably one of the best sources of information you can get at the moment it's happening. And so, look, I have lots of...
Interesting. So he's into Robinhood as part of the financial revolution. And that's the important context of it. Mr. Wonderful has been on the side of AMC and GME in the past. I remember him from previous interviews. He's talking about Robinhood in context, but you probably might have to get a reminder that Robinhood is the punching bag of the brokers, that a lot of which the boys, Trey and Matt, answered perfectly well when they were when someone in the audience asked them whether or not they had a broker recommendation. They said, pay attention to whether or not you are the product. Pay attention to how the broker is incentivized to help you or make money off of you. That's the most important part. Oh, protein. Let's see. Right here, $40.60. We saw that rejected once. The EMA is actually the VWAP right here. This orange line might actually end up becoming support in the after hours, which is what, if you watch these stocks in the after hours, is a good chance to be able to track its movement back over to $40.68. Some people call the VWAP one of the only metrics that matters because it's an identification of the true price. It's what the volume of the sales and purchases should move the price of the stock. Of course, you guys know that that's not the only thing that affects how much the price of a stock is. Meatball is focused, laser focused here. Let me see. Patrick says you had to go and prove me wrong about Kramer being the only one rocking that hair. It's just a popular hairstyle right now. Let's see. Naked coming up as one of the winners of the day. We were tracking Naked earlier during its after-hour rip. Up now, either 7% or 8.5%. One of those two. ATER is also one of the ones that have gone big in the past few hours. Up 13% on the day. We're asking about Prague. Thoughts on Prague before the earnings call. PROG down 3.5% right now. Had a couple of opportunities to blow. We were drawing a couple of pennants. Unfortunately, all of them were bearish. This one did push up positively over its EMA here. Now looking at $4.08. That's its high from the last 3 days. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a sell signal on Lux. Cyberbully got naked at 65 cents. Let's go. So in the 3 hour, it would have been good jumping into pre-ROG at the soft buy around 98 cents. But from the highs of $4.89, that's likely going to be bearish activity for the last few days. Strong soft buy in the after hours yesterday, and then a strong sell, a soft buy in the pre-market, and then a strong sell. PROG looks like it is going to have a tumultuous after hours. Let's see if we're getting a buy signal on AMC. Not yet. But it did have an opportunity to brush past its oversold Bollingers around 39.07. Brett Houston says, it seems always like there's bad press on AMC shortly after a rally. The rally right before the earnings certainly caught me off guard. One of the better things that have happened to cushion a 10% drop, because a 10% drop, we started at $42 a couple of days ago, by which I mean yesterday. We started at $42 yesterday, which means we were just 5% down after a 10% or near 10% rip earlier yesterday. Bob says, exchange already reported the short interest. AMC is at 18% and days to cover has gone down to 2.5 days. Gonna see some boom stuff in the next week. Let's see if we can pull the I'm gonna pull the FINRA numbers. Let's see if I can get that. FINRA. Wow, I haven't seen this in a hot sec. Look at this. Very nice. Short interest, 92 million. So this is straight from the FINRA's website. And we can use this to cross-reference how much of the free float there is. So FINRA is reporting about 92 million. Tuesday, November 9th. Ortex is depicting 81 million. So that's a large discrepancy. That would put us over at the 18%. That would make sense. Okay, so there might be a correction coming soon. Here you go. Steven says AMC is doing great. That's true. They do create the movie experience. Like, that's the movie. Otherwise, you're just streaming. Streaming, I think, is a completely different hobby, a different activity than actually heading to the movies. Here you go. $12.34, at least on the West Coast. Make a wish. That means that we are getting 26 minutes left of the market. Any other major players you guys want to take me to take a look at? Look at SoFi, down about 3% today. Healthy pullback for how it's been doing the past few weeks. Lordstown down about 3.5. Microvision down about 3.5. Palantir, after the earnings, topped at 28.18, dropped all the way back down to 23 bucks. Hey, look, that's where that's where my stake is. That's the thing about the stock market. Can't be wrong more than once. No. SBC already coming back down from its gains. FUV down about 8%. METX, let's take a look. All right, from 48 cents. This was just 2 days ago. From Friday's 48 cents all the way up to 68, about 5% up today. But yesterday was about 40%. Seems like it is forming a cup, which means this is at risk of double topping. Careful. Tesla continues to bleed. It actually might press lower than 1,000. It's called the Tesla roller coaster. If you haven't ridden it yet, here comes the best part. Amrit says, Andrew Moneyman, how it do? What's up, brother? Cassandra says, Apes, I'm legit excited. How great would it be to see another AMC all-time high by Christmas? Forget turkey. I want a chicken tendy Christmas dinner to celebrate a year of learning about the market. I love her attitude. Great attitude. Not much market. Not much volume on the entire market. Yeah. Good point. LCID. Okay. Especially since the EV market is really the one to watch for at least the next few weeks. EV wars. Who will win? 48.90. This is really when Microsoft and Google were duking it out. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. McDonald's and whoever lost the McDonald's. This is really just finding out who is the top contender. 48.90 was Lucid's high during pre-market earlier today. Then I guess it caught itself, dropped back down to closing Friday prices, about $42.60, before bringing it back somewhere in the middle at 44 bucks. Lucid would have been a great play back when I was tracking it all summer. But who knew this was going to be the best year of trading for a long, long time, breaking records for all-time highs everywhere, all over the place. Also, careful about Lucid. It is still overly, bullish, especially with this early morning price action. If they expect to do the same thing tomorrow, we with each dollar are passing into uncharted territory. Let's look at when the last time was at 63.52 on the weekly. Yeah, there it is. 63.52. Ah, that's a pretty cut and clear double bottom on Lucid. This stock dropped all the way to 16.51, that level of support that I drew from a few months ago, and now it's just on its way back up. Will it reach all the way up to 63.52 is the real question, but that's the next level to watch. That's where it was rejected for the first half of a double bottom. let's see. Robble. Leah says, how about a chicken tendy Christmas feast? Gotta work out rigorously for this 1 month. They sleep, we eat. Come on. Steven says, doesn't it seem to do that every year, though? Well, if it's predictable. Company is... Robinhood breach shows company is not ready. Let's see. Roblox speaks to the power of the metaverse. So we have a metaverse video coming out soon, but for now I want to see you guys see it.
Let's talk about it with Evercore's Mark Mahaney, whose new book, Nothing But Net, is out today. Mark, congratulations on that. I know you've been working on it for a long time. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks a ton.
So we're calling these hard to love stocks. Are they hard to love, and which one would you like the best?
Well, the ones you mentioned, I like Facebook. I think it's a high-quality asset that's dislocated. And I like Uber. I think it's a future asset that's still misunderstood, and I think it's got an enormous growth runway ahead of it. What I tried to do in the book is highlight what I call DHQs, dislocated high-quality stocks. I think that's clearly Facebook, and it's dislocated given all that controversy. Uber has yet to prove itself as a high-quality stock, but I think it will, given its market opportunity and just an incredibly strong value proposition.
I wonder what you make of the growing universe, Mark, and I know they're not all in your coverage universe, but names that are severely punished because of the outlook. Today it's PayPal, but it's been Peloton, it's been Chegg, names that are suffering from sort of dislocations that are lasting a lot longer than people thought.
You know, one of the biggest questions I have when I look at these dislocations, these stocks trading off is, are we talking about a fundamentals correction or an expectations correction? The latter is what you much more want to step in on and buy if you believe in the long-term vision of the company. The fundamentals corrections you want to be really careful about. I'm on the sidelines on Zillow, and it's a stock that I downgraded. I got the stock wrong. I thought that they had a reasonable path to profitability, sustained growth in the iBuying business. They blew that opportunity. I blew the call. But that's an asset that will be interesting to track once we get through beyond the iBuying catastrophe. There may be something interesting on the other side, but that's a fundamentals correction. When you have these expectations corrections, like you had with Netflix recently, Amazon, and even Facebook, you see those stocks can move up over time because investors will step in on any sort of weakness on what are widely perceived to be high-quality assets.
Hey, Mark, it's John. So you like Meta, but I wonder, how are you modeling the metaverse? I'm saying I'm a metaverse skeptic because people are lumping in things like immersive gaming with AR, VR stuff from the likes of Facebook that they've been working on for a while but hasn't really taken off. They've changed their name, but is there more reason than there was in the past to believe that this is going to become a business in the near to medium term?
I think it's long-term, but John, you and I are living through a data point from this morning, from last night, that speaks something about the power of the metaverse, and that's Roblox. And you and I need to think about this young generation of people, younger generation than us, that are using Roblox and using it intensively. And what does that tell you about 5 to 10 years from now, their ability to go from gaming virtually to working and living virtually in presence? That, to me, is one of the more interesting data points I've seen. I don't know if there's a there with Metaverse. I just know that with Microsoft and Facebook putting a lot of dollars behind it, I've seen fascinating adoption and usage, really, of these Oculus devices, that Facebook has. So and that Meta has. So I'm intrigued by the opportunity. It's a big bet, and it may be a little bit more sizable than I'm totally comfortable with. But I think Facebook should be trying to develop this kind of option value. So yeah, I'm along for the ride on it. Also knowing that the core business, I think, is fundamentally one of the strongest you can find in tech land.
Right, that digital advertising business. Mark, I want to ask you, go back to Uber a little bit. You say that it's been misunderstood. I know this is the call. You've been bullish on the stock for a while, but Dara Khosrowshahi, he's a real operator. It feels like he's applying the playbook that he had at Expedia, growth through acquisitions, to Uber. You say the market opportunity is large, but he's competing against founders in the space. I wonder if you think that he, with Uber, with him at the helm, is in the best position to capitalize on that opportunity.
Julia, you're asking the right question. One of the takeaways I've had from looking at tech stocks for the last 25 years
And the track record is pretty clear. The best wealth creation is usually founder-led companies. Not always, but most times. And that's obviously not Uber. My hedge here is that I've known Dara, tracked him for about 20 years. I think he did a reasonably good job at Expedia. And there was just a lot of things that needed to be done to improve, costs taken out, discipline brought into Uber that Dara did. And then, of course, COVID came and knocked the heck out of that fundamentals of that business. One business is more impacted than any other that I cover. It's ride sharing. It's still dramatically below pre-COVID levels, but I think it'll come back. I think the value proposition is really compelling. And I think Dara's done most of the right things, cut costs, reduce the asset footprint that this company had, sell off underperforming assets around the world. And what's going to come out of this, I think, is a super app, which I don't think is appreciated about Uber shares. So that's one of the reasons I like this stock. It's dislocated, and I think it's going to be perceived 2 to 3 years from now as one of the highest quality assets out there.
Okay, so tech and moving through hard to love stocks. At the end of it, take a look at this. It's like I'm unveiling Lucid right now. Take a look at Lucid bringing back the double bottom price action right now, down today, and not clear whether or not I can sustain this momentum back up to 63.52, although you probably would have expected it in the very beginning when it crossed through 3 levels of resistance in a single candle. Okay, how about boom boom candles? That's what we're looking for. AMC currently 11 and change, almost 12% down on the day, just underneath that $40 mental barrier. We need about 30 cents to be able to cross it. Every day seems like another battle. So here we comes, the battle of $40 flat, $40.01. Kristen Gallo says, my 12-year-old daughter told me to buy Roblox when it went up. I should have listened to my kid. Mom effed that up. We're talking about Big Chungus here. What's up, Jorge? How's it going? Let's see. We have financial conversations for sure. Hey, I am about to interview one of you for a slot in this show to be able to talk about your financial goals. This is going to be going up later this week to be able to tell you guys how those of you who have been on the show have been affected by this show. And I'm not going to do it too much, but I'm definitely going to be doing it regularly on the second channel if that's something that you're interested in. The Sound Broker, that's going to be the podcast series where we talk about whether or not your financial journey has goals we can help you maintain and consistently persist. So we want you to be able to use the Google form if you want to sign up for a potential audition, a potential shot at jumping on the show, but I'm going to be starting them right after this stream. It's rolling. So one of the things that you do have to make sure you do to be able to jump in on the show and win free raffles when we come around to them is subscribe publicly on this channel and the second one, and follow on Twitter or Instagram, preferably both. Let's try both. Mini Ape Alex saying, hey Andrew, do you think we will follow the last 2 post-earnings report trends? Where will we see a strong dip and then see a steady run upward? This is just straight up, can you pull a rubber band back all the way down without it bouncing? That's the question. AMC has already found a nice tight bottom for the rest of the day at 39.25 earlier, and we already recovered a lot of that lost price action, especially with the Charles Payne boost that was right here. So let me bust out the pen to show you guys. Cassandra says, good idea. I hope so. Cassandra, I'm interested in learning what your financial journey is all about. Right here. That was the Charles Payne effect. We saw a good amount of eyes on AMC and GME. In fact, this is where GME was during that same run up. And then GME hit nothing, but AMC easily, I mean, it's black and white, easily can be attributed to the VWAP coming down and hitting the top of this price action. We saw it rejected twice, which means now we are bearishly pulling the price action towards the finish line for the day. PTON is below $50. Let's take a look. PTON. Peloton Interactive. I'm on the weekly. Peloton, I think was on the earnings chopping block. Truist says first strength product is underwhelming. Okay, so it's building strength products and it's not a good product. Seems like a pretty open and shut case, but let me see if I can find a quick vid. Probably not. Guide, a camera that watches your workouts and its first strength project. Do I want a camera that watches me while I work out? Let me think about this. Do I want anyone to see me work out? Thought about it for about 2 seconds. Brian Tarantino says, is that Black Rifle Coffee Company SBEA? I believe so. We didn't say anything about it, bullish or bearish, on this channel. So, as a reminder, we don't do financial advice. John Mack, think about dips as opportunities for the stock to rethink where it's trying to go, right? Set up a brand new technical pattern, bring in some people who thought the stock was too rich for their blood, right? Some of the natural effects of the market, even if this, after a stellar earnings call, is unnatural price movement, we've seen it 3 times already. So keep it in perspective. Not to try to tell you to keep it in perspective, but it's easy to lose perspective. Win or Neo call before earning reports? Oh, is he? Honestly, Win I haven't even looked at yet, but I know that their earnings is later. So let me pull that up real quick. Win has been maintaining on the hourly. Yeah, no, also it also bounced off its EMA. This was an easy bounce to call because it bounced off of it similarly a couple days ago. So 92.82 brought it back up to 94.62. Will either of these stocks go up today? Neo seems to be in the hot seat right now after falling through 2 levels of resistance earlier, just in the beginning of the market. David says, if a very strong quarter does not yield a positive response from the market, then you know something funky is going on. Fake shakeout. Let's see. Tom Sato says, Peloton I never understood. I think of all of the exercise equipment under a pile of laundry. Hey, that laundry's got to be somewhere. Where am I going to put this laundry? Rivian R1T. Okay, AMD meta deal. I think we've fully covered it.
Jared, always good to see you.
Thanks for having me back again, of course.
By no means am I a chip expert, nor do I play one on TV, so I'm going to ask you a stupid question.
Yeah. I remember this. So AMD, let's see where it is now. This was the segment where everyone was like, I'm not a chip expert, but AMD had a nice day yesterday from 137 up to the 155s, even in the pre-market. Right as the markets open, retail investors shook out, caused a little bit of downtrend action, brought down to 146 until it settled around 148. Let's go AMC. 8 minutes left, says Artman. Artman. Cassandra says, it was a bull trap disguised as a technical breakout. It's all good. Nothing has changed in the short, mid, long term. Give it a week and things will feel comfy again. Honestly, it's already feeling pretty comfy right now with the moon platoon around you. Peloton minus bike plus iPad. So it's just you pushing on the iPad with your feet. Let's see. Yeah, AMD, Facebook, and Microsoft news yesterday. These are the news pieces that you need to be able to just essentially plug into your ear. If you don't have an alert center like ChatterQuant, it's going to be really hard to be able to catch up. John Max says, oh, thanks for your thoughts, Cassandra. Feeling better already, you guys. Cheers. Let's see. Wonder if Palantir is going to try and recover. Nope. Didn't have any volume to try to push above the VWAP today. Yep. AMC 5 cents away and 5 minutes to spare to try to get to 12. Sorry, to 5 minutes left on the clock before the day is over. About 6 minutes before we can call either the $40 crushed or not today. Thomas says Moon Platoon. I was talking about bearish flags before in the past. Yeah. So the thing about this flag is that it actually feels like relatively bullish because it's coming from an uptrend and it's not very well formed, unfortunately. Parallel lines instead of a wedge shape. Coming from an uptrend like this one right here, you would expect this to be bullish, but if you consider it coming from this downtrend here, then that would be bearish. So it depends on what scale you're looking at the chart. Murgoy says, I need the remote from Click, if you know what I mean. To trade stocks with? Yes. I actually haven't watched that movie, I don't think. I remember watching the trailers over and over. Trailers, commercials, remember that. What do the options look like for Friday? Let's take a look, Reza. Let's take a look at the options chain. That's 40 just now? $40.05 we just saw. Now we're back. Back to $39.95. Jorge Garcia says options are cheap right now, but you basically be betting if your purchase expires the 12th. Let's take a look. So yesterday we had a ridiculous amount of options out of, I think it was 50 bucks? Or was it 40? I think it was $50 calls. Right now, hottest option is $40 calls. $40 strike, it has $3 million worth of calls there. Let's go back to yesterday. Let's see what yesterday shaped up to be. Yikes, look at that, $7 million worth of calls at $50 strike. So that is the gamma ramp pushing us upward. Up, and onward. Joel says, what is Bitcoin? Geisma says, year to date, bullish as hell, always so, never worries. Bob B says, yes indeed, our 8 men nailed it to the moon. 2 minutes left, guys. Oh boy. Guys ready for when the bell rings and then we do it all over again tomorrow. AMC coming down to its simple moving average before a potential last minute jump for the finish line. This is the part of Squid Game where we're just throwing our entire body at it. Just going, huh. Kohrs says, or Jorge says, you have earned a subscribe for reading my comment. Liliana Rodriguez says, bit what? What is Bitcoin, Meatball? 7 cents left. Joel follows up with his question about Bitcoin and asks, the best investment is? Oh, like a Jeopardy question. Gotcha. Okay. He says, what is Bitcoin? Like the answer to a Jeopardy question. Got it. Well, Artman says, everyone hit that like button for Andrew. Hey, how about this? I'll ring the bell. The market's going to be over. We are about 7 cents south of $40 mental barrier. I mean, that's going to be resistance in the after hours no matter what. Either way. Let's look at where GME is ending up on the day. GME is ending up right where we left it when we started streaming, right around that 206 pocket. 3, 2, 1. The fourth one was not as loud. Ladies and gents, that has been AMC's price movements, as well as GME, as well as the stocks that you guys care about on the Mo Money Moon Platoon show. We have GameStop closing in. This might change at the end of the day, so just check it again. 206.42. This AMC is closed at 39.95. Oh no, it just went back to being active for a second. Said close. Now it's active. With volume roughly around 37.35. Even if the day ends red, does not mean that your opportunities are gone. The path to financial freedom starts with you and us doing this again tomorrow, learning about the markets. If you guys haven't yet started investing, if you haven't yet started talking to me in the chats, if you haven't gone out of this stream and then come back around to leave a comment about which part you loved about the stream, and then making sure you leave the stream with a like if you liked this stream or liked Meatball sleeping over there in the corner. Hey, you guys are awesome. Hope you guys have a great day. Just know that when the markets are closed, you shake it off, you go home to your kids, you relax, because markets don't sleep. Data doesn't sleep. We will be here for you guys bright and early. For now, but not for forever. Thanks to those of you who have made this show possible. Those of you who have pressed the links in the description, such as the 30% off from ChatterQuant, gets you the alerts for the stocks that are either going to be going big, like perhaps Neo and Wynn Resorts later today. Their earnings calls are all coming up. If you guys wanted the buy and sell signals, Lux Algo got it for you guys 20% off, and I can at least guarantee you guys will have this codes for the rest of the week. Thank you guys for repping part of the Moon Platoon. You guys can go to andrewmomoney.com to find the merch store, where there are some fun ways to rep yours truly. If you want to be able to shout out something on Twitter and Instagram, that's me at AndrewMoMoney on anywhere you guys have social media. Thank you guys so much. And for now, but not for forever, have a nice day. Peace.